Welcome back, YouTube. So we are in part 2 of Color Identity, the discussion series. I'm thinking, looking at the pacing, this is probably going to be about a 4-part series, and we're gonna start revving it up a little bit as of this installment. I got a lot of stuff planned for the channel. As I said before, we're going into the road to 2K. Got a lot of good content planned. We're gonna get some games back on the channel in a major way. We're gonna be going into plenty of stuff for you to sink your teeth into, so stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and chill for the ride. And you know what? I'm just gonna put it out there. Chill for some of the best, if not the best, Dragon Ball Super content that you can find on YouTube. So, that being said, last time we broke down each color and its initial color identity and how that framed the color. But now in this installment, I'm going to get into how the colors have evolved, as well as some of the issues that come along with that, and bring us to where we are today in terms of color. That way we can set up the future discussions about things that could fix colors, things that need to happen to balance colors, things like that. And if you want to, let me know in the comments, and we'll even talk about things like multicolor, because I was going to leave that out, but hey, there probably is something to say here about that sort of aspect too. So, as per usual, normal plugs. You got the official Facebook group for the card game. You got the official, not official discussion group for the card game. They're all there. It's all pretty Gucci. You have Universe X, which is my personal page, as well as the Universe X Discord, where we talk about a great matter of things. In the description, I've got a link to my gaming channel. Right now, cooling off a little bit, but there's going to be a lot of content coming in December. We got Christmas banners for Dragon Ball Legends, and chances are it's probably going to be Dragon Ball Super Broly theme. Everybody loves that. So you want to see me pull on that heavy, just subscribe to that too and just wait for it. I guarantee you it's going to be a great time. Also, partnered up with TCGMetalZ. Gotta support the homie. Can't wait to spoil their next thing, their next big thing. Just waiting on the okay from him. But it's going to be hot too, and you can always use the code UNIX at checkout to get 10% off your entire order. So, we're gonna hop into the first color. So here we go with blue. All right, we're gonna start with blue, just like last time. Blue, as I stated before, is the resource manipulation just color. You draw cards, you turn your energy upright after you've tapped it. But this kind of made a weird position for blue. Normally, the way I'm going to format this, I'm going to talk about the issues of the color at the end, but blue is just kind of in a weird spot, mainly because blue is the only color that can tap all 4 of its energy at certain points in the game, knowing that it's going to untap them by using unyielding at one point, or tap out 5 energy, knowing that you're going to be able to swing 1 time and they'll be able to Sparking D-Magic you, put their energy up to 2, and then be able to just continue with their defensive step. So because blue is able to play their energy aggressively, knowing that they're never going to fully be tapped out for more than a swing at a time, because blue is the only color that can just really start adding additional energy to change the scope of their curve, blue has always had a tough time with printing good bombs, because a 5-drop in blue is not the same as a 5-drop in red. A 5-drop in red should win you the game. Most of them can threaten game if you just read their effects. Same things with yellow, same things with green. These are monster effects. The 5-drop in blue is something that not only you may be able to reach before turn 5, but it's something you're not even tapping out to do. So the investment's different. I'm sure if you look back in a lot of sets, you can even see how not just crucial it feels when you look at a 4-drop, 5-drop, sometimes even a 6-drop in blue compared to those same colors in red in the same sets, and green and whatnot, the other colors. So that's just the reason why. Bandai is fully aware that blue does not play like the other colors and has a fair amount of bounce back around playing on curve. So one thing that blue kind of got over time, there were 2 more parts that got added to their kit. And this is why lots of people, I feel like, mistake blue for control. Blue got a couple of cards that hard counterplays that countered, and then they also got a whole slew of effects that bounced, and bouncing kind of evolved into tucking. They both kind of exist in the same format, but if the card is just normal blue shenanigans, it's going to generally bounce a card to the hand. But if the card is a very good blue removal card. It's generally going to tuck a card underneath the deck. That's more of the hard removal aspect of it. So looking at this, their counterplays really kind of started, like the first one that was like really good was Goku the Unstoppable. That was a very good card. It looked amazing, and it just completely was able to take guys off the board and put them back in the hand, and you were able to cantrip off of it. But God Sealing Trunks, when the Unison Warrior format came through, was the craziest because it did it for free as long as you had a Unison with 2 markers or more on it. Meaning that as long as the Unison was out once per turn, you had to be very careful at what you sunk your energy into, because it could just be mised for free, changing none of the momentum of them, but completely halting their momentum in many cases. So when it comes to this, now where blue is today, I split them into 3 different categories for their cards. Energy manipulation, well, kind of like more like resource manipulation, bounce/tuck, and then you also have control, which would be the counters. So just going over some notable ones just to kind of cement that this is things they fall into. When it comes to manipulation, you've got Xeno, the Cosmic Unison, ramping you once per turn, putting it in the graveyard, changing up your curve as it goes. He's able to also, on his backside, like his ultimate, he's able to shuffle the whole field in. So he's both of those aspects of blue. You have got Android 17 turning the tide. He comes down and he shuffles hands back. That is going to be resource manipulation. He's actually low-key hand destruction, but he also affects the entire board because blue is trying to be fair even on unfair cards. You got the UI Goku's Kamehameha IR. That one is actually the personification of blue. You either draw a card or you untap an energy depending on what turn you use it. So that's just right in here. You got the Xeno Super Combo that switches things out of your energy. That's more resource manipulation. SS4 Vegeta, Rise the Super Warrior. He's going to look at the top 4 and he's going to ramp you or draw you. That's 100%, once again, that is resource manipulation. Galactic Buster, the newest Super Saiyan 2 Kaba Proud Zenith, or Super Saiyan Kaba Proud Zenith. 100%. He's either tucking a card, or he's actually going to be able to untap energy. Like he's literally, or draw 2 cards, my bad. He's literally just blue's effects on a card. So you can see where these themes are. When it comes to bounce and tuck, we've got the first kind of time where they started kind of making blue a tuck color or a bounce color was Vegeta Penitent Martyr. That card was a de facto kind of pseudo wipe, and it was the first time blue kind of got that pseudo removal like that, and heavy. You've got the Boo Unison, which is not only a double strike threat, but he also starts tucking things. You've got the Bojack package for the Evil Doer as well as the Boss SR Bojack. They both do that as well. You've once again got UI Goku the Unstoppable, which is a counter, but it's also a bounce. You go to controlling, and this one's a little thinner, but the most notable ones, you've got God Slaying, you've got Baby Unison that's able to draw you into cards for the resource manipulation part, but also his -5 makes all your counters live, so it really kind of leans into the control parts of yellow. You've got Baby 8, which is a strong counterplay that also kind of affects the board. You've got Baby Hatch, is the only card in the game that straight up says I resolve and you cannot win this turn. So that is kind of how it is. Blue has gained both those aspects, some small control aspects that impact the game in a very strong way. I'm glad they don't necessarily have a plethora of them going around, but they also have that bounce and tuck to stimulate pseudo removal. Now they've also been given an alternative win con in the sense of mill. They definitely have a bunch of mill cards. You see all the mill forms are in blue, if not blue-red, because blue exists. The mixing of those colors to take aspects from both. And that is that. So when it comes to the explanation, blue has high utility, but it doesn't have great bombs, and that is because between great defense and high utility, if you give it big bombs too, you have a deck that's hard to kill, you have a deck that's spongy with its energy and resources, you have a deck that sees a lot of its cards, and you have a deck that also has good bombs. You have to be weak somewhere, or there's no such thing as balance. So yeah, let's move on to the next color. So we're on red now. Before we established that red, definitely aggro. But the thing about making aggro stronger is the only way to make straightforward aggro stronger is to make the cards come down quicker, make the cards come down more at a time, or to make the cards themselves stronger. all three of these could be very, very bad for the way the game goes. You know, you start giving cards that were critical 10Ks, critical 15Ks for the same cost. That's a power creep. That's a huge power creep. You start giving things that had normal strike 15Ks, double strike 15Ks at the same cost. That's a power creep. You give too many cards, you know, the ability to just come out quick, and all of a sudden you have what people were mad about with King Vegeta on turn 2, putting out enough pressure to kill people if you didn't have a, I don't know, card like Protector or Senzu Bean or King Vegeta's Imposing Presence or Nimbus or Protector of the People, or really any actual counter card. Look, I'm not gonna go into it. Look, the point is, you can't successfully power creep the individual cards, the speed at which they're played, or how many can be played in the same window without unbalancing it horrendously. So Bandai, it seems, tried to go in the route of power manipulation. You know, you could just be like, oh, well, this thing that would normally have been 15K is now going to be 25K. But that's dangerous because those same cards can also swing on leaders and just be oppressive and just go for face. So instead, they started giving everything the ability to minus in red. Instead of having everything, you know, be stronger, M2 came out and you could just minus 5K off a leader. You know, you don't have a 15K that when it swings or when it comes into play, it can minus 10 something, allowing you to potentially swing on things that were 20K, now making them 10K, now swinging on them with a 15K. Now your opponent has to double up on the 5Ks in order to save their card or just let it go. So that was, I feel like looking on it in that light, you really do see that that was probably the better move, because things could get out of hand if they did it otherwise. So the other thing that they tried to do for red is give red very specific hand control elements. And this is also because if you notice, most of the red cards, they can look at your hand, but they have specific restrictions on what they can take. Generally, it's a battle card with a power level limit. And the reason why this is because being able to take any card would be absolutely nasty. It'd be like Invoker on random cards. But taking away a battle card means you can take away somebody's combo piece and just have to fight them with hard math outside of their negates. Or you could take away a super combo, which is a huge hit, but they're not going to let you be the most aggressive color by nature and take away people's negates or floodgates like that. That would be far too strong. So you have these things, the power manipulation and the specific hand control. So in terms of like notable cards, the aggro did keep growing. I mean, Fearless Pan came out in set 3, turn your entire board of weaklings into double strikers with 5K more power. That's the definition of an aggro finisher. Fill up your board cheaply, play Pan, win. You had Quick Rush Trunks, which was insane when it first came out. I mean, just 2-drop 15K critical. Triple Flash Sun Goku, 1 energy, could come out as early as turn 3 if you had an untapped 2 awakening, come out as early as turn 4, triple strike, 30K, it's going in. For 1 energy, it's going to draw you 2 cards too to help that aggression. You got Intensifying Power Trunks, great. You got Mercenary Tao, just got banned because it was too good at what it was doing. New Ruler, limited because it was too good at what it was doing. Piccolo Jr. Unison, not necessarily a punchy card, but it punishes your opponent for trying to defend themselves. So it's like the defensive staple of aggro. They have a board that can rival yours, cool, keep swinging at them. When they have to protect their face, they're gonna have to start losing their board. Crazy. You've got Goku, Divine Presence. He comes down for 2. He's able to punch twice. He's very, very strong. He floats your deck if you were running him with his support. He's the definition of an aggro monster. He applies pressure. You've got Chain Attack Trunks, which is a card that was able to cheat out plenty of things, expanding your board for minimal energy. These are just notable aggro cards. You can move into power manipulation. There's a long list of this. I mean, you have Starling units like Planet M2, that's the de facto one. Remember that. You got the first red 8 baby, I think it's Apocalyptic Grudge. That was really, really good. After Image, is that all you got? You got Frieza's Death's Embrace, like that 1-drop that could just funnel. Frieza's Death Ball still used till this day right now. Up your power, minus theirs. You've got Yamcha, Merciless Barrage, comes down, minus is minus. It's good stuff to change up the math, because red is a color about swinging and dealing with the math more than pretty much any other color. Not really fancy over the top cards, but these cards do damage. But there's so many more. There's Wolfang Fist, King Vegeta's Imposing Presence, Gohank's SCR. These are all cards that fit in the theme of minusing. When it comes to specific hand control though, yeah, it's a little bit harder to find because you have to be very careful with this. And they all generally have their stipulations. You got Crown of Retribution, requires your opponent to have 2 open energy. You've got Foreseeing Hit. You had to pay 4 energy for him. He doesn't have deflect, and you can only take battle cards with a certain cap. You've got Sin Unison, which can look in your hand, but it's on its minus effect. You've got Deborah, which is going to be a blind rip. You've got Frieza SCR, which again, you have to be at like 0 life, 2 life, I think, to use it, and you still have to tap like mad energy. So these things are really crazy. So here's the thing though, outside of that, just like blue gained the WinCon mill, we definitely got Burn in red, but Burn also has so many hoops to jump through. You got cards like MCU Gohan, set 1 had lightning fast hit, you have Yamcha 100%, you have Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta from set 6, you also have Goku Frieza SCR in Cross Spirits. All these are cool, but the issue with red in general, the thing that holds it back is, if you notice, the teams that work on red and yellow are like completely different, because yellow just snapped. Red is balanced. Red is almost always balanced. There have been some slip ups every now and then, but like red truly sits here and is just like, you can look at my hand and take away a card, but I need to have 2 energy untapped, and you can only pick battle cards with 20k or less. Like if you notice, red cards are never really in a long time snapped. Like I said, we do get things that come through every now and then. New Ruler and Piccolo Jr., those things snapped. But a lot of our cards do have to go through the appropriate lines of play in order to even have them set up, or you have to have a build up to them. And because of this, red is always going to be a strong gatekeeper to colors that like are fair, to decks that are fair. But red will always feel like it's fighting an uphill battle versus decks that are broken. And that's because red is by design not broken. It's just powerful and well written. So that being said, we're going to move on to the next color. So we're at green here. Green is interesting because arguably green is the most untouched color out of any single one when it comes to its themes. Last time we talked about how green was the color for hand destruction, battle card destruction. That has never changed. In fact, the cards have just kind of kept going in that sense. I mean, look, you got for hand destruction, Android 16 super combo. You've got a combo, what combo was it? Combo killer, Analyza, something like that, where they have to discard a card off combo once per turn. You got the Broly secret rare. You've got, Vegeta the Cruel coming in and just, actually smoking something and forcing your opponent to discard. You got Cell's Earth Destroying Kamehameha. Debro Unison does destruction of monster battle cards as well as, just cards from hand. You got Ribrianne, you got Majin Buu Unadulterated Destruction from Cross Spirits. You've got Rosie Blast Manipulator, Zamasu Deity's Wrath. You got green doing green things. You go to battle card destruction, Kami's Power Piccolo, Shocking Death Ball, Broly, Limits Transcended. You got just so much. I'm gonna put Vegeta the Cruel here again because he definitely does both. Beerus Godly Majesty, Belmod just got banned. Frieza Charismatic Villain is like the GOAT. Dormant Potential, even their negates between Dormant and Shocking Death Ball blow up stuff. Blue Impulse and Nukes a Field. The Ape Secret Rare kills a card. It's here. Green does green things. Reaper of Justice from Gotenks. The issue with green though is that green does 2 basic things: destroy your hand, destroy your cards. And if you could start using all of the best of these in one deck, you start getting ridiculous results. 90% of green is leader locked for a reason. And that makes it very hard to build green, because with green, you really have to play whatever leader they put with the archetype, or you're not going to be able to grant yourself the boons of the new cards at all. The closest thing we have to a good hand destruction deck is Cell Surge. And it's just because finally we have a leader that can lock you out of swinging at it and still work on your hand. If Cell didn't have the ability to stop your stuff from being tapped down, there may not even be a deck there, because sometimes if they high roll, you'll be able to not have to use that effect. But most of the time, that's just the way to set down and make sure your opponent cannot progress their game plan and just keep ripping their hand. Most of these cards, it's like, okay, you'll have hand destruction in androids. Then you literally have hand destruction in an android package that specifically needs that android leader who's not the android leader from the last set. Then you have hand destruction with the maidens. Then you have hand destruction with that's how green works. This is going to be a lot shorter than the other two because green hasn't really evolved like that. It's just gotten a bunch of more hand destruction, a bunch more just battle card destruction. And at the same time as all these, they just can't be used together because, let's face it, if you can just, again, use even the top 40% of these cards, your opponent is just going to never be able to have a board, never be able to have a hand, and it would be broken. So green is on that precarious level. You can't make things too generic. Like, even right now, people are like, well, maybe Ribrianne could go, or maybe Ribrianne could get semi-limited, because Ribrianne is just a generic pay to, discard to. It is the opposite of Monkey, color locked, in terms of the fact you can't use colorless to use it. And people already see it as such more of a headache with Monkey. People tap 2, draw 2 from Monkey, okay, whatever. Tap 2, you discard from Ribrianne, okay, what the crap? Like, that's how strong discarding is compared to drawing, and that is wild because, yeah, you can't have too many cards out like Ribrianne. So that's why green is sitting here literally with like all of its cards needing specific leaders and not being able to be used in conjunction. Now that being said, green also seems to be the testing ground for archetypes. Like, anytime they want to try something weird, they generally like shove it in green first. Like, green is the only color where you can be like, okay, green playing Ginyu Weenies, green's playing vanilla base Videl, green's playing aggro token spam boo, green's playing, what was green playing this set? Oh yeah, weird blocker neg Vegeta and field card extra card cycling Goku. Like, green just seems to be the testing ground for all these wonky effects while having a bunch of cards that can't work in tandem together. So green just feels progressively weaker. Yeah, let's start fooling around with you having life face up or face down. Where does it need to go? Green. Okay, of course. Let's have an entire deck of field cards. Where is that going? Where is it going? Green. Yeah, like, green is the weird experimental ground, and it's just a little odd because it really deserves better than that right now, because as a color, it's seriously lacking. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about green. If green wasn't so leader locked and, you know, like trait specific, we'd probably have the most broken color on our hands, but it's not, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's move on to the next color. So now we're at yellow. You've heard me talk about yellow, you've heard the homies talk about yellow, you've probably faced yellow and have words about yellow. There's not really much to say here. Yellow was the tap down color. Yellow had straight control elements, but the issue with yellow is that yellow started getting so many times where it was stepping out of its lane, and stepping out of your lane can be dangerous. Stepping out of your lane can be refreshing sometimes, and I get how sometimes you want to have not red effects in red, not blue effects in blue, but when you step out of your lane but you have yellow's pull, it gets progressively bad. Like, when yellow gets access to aggro, but yellow is also the only color in the game with a counter and the ability to stop your opponent's effects on play, that's not healthy. When yellow is able to have the best mid-range in the game in terms of mid-range value and beaters, but also has the ability to defend itself flawlessly into the mid game and continue to defend itself even through the late game, that's not good. Like, yellow has been overtuned, not just because of the quality of the cards they're printing, but because of what they've had access to in the past while they're being able to print. It's like, you can create a control deck in red, and none of red's aggro cards are going to really complement your control deck. But when you start giving yellow aggro and mid-range capabilities it didn't have before, all of a sudden it just allows it to have the offense to pair with the defense that it's always naturally had and still gets till this very day. So it's continuing the tap down theme. You've got things like Time Magic, Chompa the Trickster, you got Bergamo, you got the Khalifa that evolves and taps something, the Awakened Sister, you got the Gogeta Unison, you got the Meki Unison. Like, you've got so many things that do these things. Vegeta Prideful Transformation. I mean, you've got just so much stuff. The Xenosin SCR that taps down. They still tap everything down. At the same time, though, they've got Effect Negation, you know, Cold Bloodlust, Tyrannical Blood, I almost said Tyrannical Blood Flow, Tyrannical Blow. I was mixing cards. I was almost going off. You've got Shenron, Destruction Incarnate, just negating things on auto every time they're played with no effect, like limit. You've got Super 17 SCR, you've got Final Flash. Those are just doing their things, okay? And actually, you know what? I will say this right here. I really do like how the IRs are all within these definitions. I should have let off with that. The IRs 100% try to hit you with what these colors are supposed to be about in spades. But they have effect negation, and then they have something that I call funnel effects. So I mean funnel effects, I mean they have soft floodgates that become hard floodgates as the turn goes on. Like, they have cards that allow you to continue doing what you're doing, but to make a play, you have to give up a play. Nimbus, you get Nimbus, and you can swing with a battle card again, but the next battle card you swing with is going to be your last battle card. Sucks to suck, man. You got Riposte. You can get countered, but every time you swing, you're going to have to tap something unless you swing with a Unison. So, congratulations. You swing at me, you are going to have to either tap down another potential swing or tap down an energy you could have used for offense or defense. You've got Forbidden Power, essentially kind of a dormant or same way. You've got Frieza, Emperor of Universe 7 back from the TOP. You can activate effect, but you gotta give up a life. They have a bunch of funnel effects that kind of force you into uncomfortable positions. And then generally, because the funnel effects are soft floodgates, they don't cost that much. So you're able to shut your opponent out low key while not really giving up much on your end. That's really rough. And then, yeah, more than any other color, Yellow has stepped outside of their line. Yellow is a control color. Yellow has tap down effects, effect negation effects, and now they have these funnel floodgates. But randomly they give Yellow Shugesh, that is a super combo that plays cards for free. They give a Swap, which is both times they introduced Swap into Yellow, it was aggro as heck. You had the Goku line, you had the Broly line, it wasn't necessary. You have counters already, which is an extra card that is discard a yellow card. That's fine. You can't combo with an extra card. It's useless if you're on the back end and you have to discard another yellow card. Or they can now give you Swift Retaliation Cooler, which costs a hefty chunk, but is going to counter, give you another body in case the one they were trying to stop themselves from getting killed with wasn't bad enough. And you're going to draw an extra card if you have a certain amount of energy. That's asinine. Mecha Frieza was an entire lapse of judgment. Playing all these cards for free, awakening super fast, never really being able to be like, oh, I'm tapped out with extra cards in my hand, guess I'm gonna die. Omega Shenron TP is a turn 3 30k triple strike in yellow. Yeah, yellow just does far too much with outside of its design, and like I said, when you have the cards that yellow has access to already, you cannot break them out of their mold without considerable thought, because unlike any other deck, yellow's cards that it already has will always complement yellow no matter what kind of style you're playing. You're never gonna make a yellow deck and be like, ew, I'm just Power of a Super Saiyan is just not gonna do it for me in this deck. No, you're always gonna run Power of a Super Saiyan as a great defensive free play because it's generic and it's so good and you don't want to die. So yeah, yellow is kind of out there like that. And now we're on to black. Black is definitely going to be probably the shortest, but black is just in a weird space because black has never really... Black's identity, like I said, was splashable, tempo, swinging. And as things have gone by, black has kind of gained its own niche, but it's still very bland. Black almost changes in theme almost every single set. The only thing you can really count on black for staying consistent with is one, it's going to have to be warp based, or it's going to have to be drop zone based. Two, it's likely going to be aggro. They still kind of have that fleeting pressure. Some things come out easy, but they go easy. Not everything has deflect, and hardly anything has barrier, but they're going to be able to come out decent damage and be susceptible to every piece of removal under the sun. But that's pretty much that. Like, once you started making full black decks, their identity essentially was warp or drop based aggro. Sometimes this can change, but just look at the deck. You have Toa, just a good card deck, small, compact archetype. Okay, you have Hatch, a floodgate on a leader, making black's usual playstyle of very whack defense change up very much so, because you don't have to have as much defense when your opponent literally can't swarm you. You've got Vegex, which is drop based sparking aggro. Then you've got Debro, which is like drop based, significantly beefier aggro. You've got Gogeta Zeno, which is warp based aggro. And then you have Kai, which happens to be overrealm aggro. Like, yeah, Shinron, Xeno Shinron is a kind of weird drop based mill tempo oddness. The point is, black doesn't really have a set identity. You just know it's probably gonna have to deal with the drop, it's probably gonna have to deal with the warp, and none of your cards are gonna have good protection. So that's just pretty much how that one ends up working. But black is still just kind of weird. It's shifting. It's always the wild card. You never know what's gonna come out. They just came out with Finn, and that was unlike any other archetype that's ever dropped. If you can call 4 cards an archetype, they'll probably have to expand on that. But you get what I'm saying. Black is doing its own thing, and that's okay. It was the 5th color. It can't be the same as every other one. It wasn't established at the same time, and they weren't even sure if they wanted it to be its own color. Like, remember, it's only been 2 sets since we started having to actually tap black energy, because before it was just considered no kind of color like that. So it is what it is. Let's move on to the conclusion. So in short, that's just kind of how the colors have evolved over time. I think the part that I was going to do at the end of this video, I'm going to save for the next one because it's already getting kind of lengthy, but I just wanted to kind of talk about how the colors have evolved and been constructed up until this point. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Next time we're going to talk about when things get out of line and how bad it was, and specifically why, in my opinion. Yeah, we should be able to go kind of in depth and have some fun with the misgivings of certain past formats. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this tidbit of information. If you haven't seen part 1, the link is in the description. I highly implore you watch it, or even if you don't watch it, just let it play in the background on you. Give your boy the view. Get that ad revenue, you know what I'm saying? Do what you can for the homie. But thank you guys. Love the support, love the encouragement, and I will see you the next time inside Join Universe X. Thanks. Later.